All right, good morning and thank you for joining us. This is News Check on the second day of November, the year 2021, a program that seeks to explore issues shaping conversation in the country. And right now, the political temperature has really picked up in this particular country. And mostly our conversation this morning is going to be centered around the road to the 2022 general election. We are going to be discussing the issues that are coming up as we edge closer to this next year's general election. And of course, also to look at the political realignments that are currently shaping up, and of course also touch on the voter registration exercise. Remember, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission had set the deadline to be today, but a lot of concern has been raised with regards to the voter apathy, and what was expected to be the last-minute rush for voter registration doesn't really seem to be, what people expected. So we'll be talking about the voter registration and a lot that is shaping this program today. Also on the second part, we'll be talking about the current forum that is going on in Scotland, the COP26 conference. I'll be having another set of guests to just talk about climate change and how we are doing as a globe when it comes to meeting our obligations in mitigating the impact of climate change. So for now, we want to be a little bit political, and I'm joined by a panel of two, I would say two gentlemen who really have a depth of knowledge in the political happenings in this particular country. I'll start with the gentleman on the center there. Is not a new face. His name is Fred Okango. Fred Okango is a political commentator. And of course, we also have this morning Maina, Karobia, a political analyst. Thank you, both of you, for creating time for us this morning.
Thank you, Serfine. Thank you so much.
All right. So we are on the road to 2022. Each day, each hour, we are actually getting very close to this particular day when the country will be electing the next crop of leadership. I want us to start from where it all begins, the voter registration, level. And today, was the date that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission had set as the deadline on the enhanced voter registration exercise. They had targeted to reach at least 4.5 million new registered voters. But as the closure of this exercise in the third week, IEBC recorded that only about 800,000 people had turned up to register as new voters. I don't know what your comments would be about this, gap. Let me call it that. Let me start with you, Fred.
Thank you so much, Serfine. Indeed, it is true. Actually, IEBC had targeted 6 million new voters.
4.5.
The initial target was 6 million. Actually, above 6 million. If you look at their latest, I think by yesterday, they had only managed 1.2 million. And this exercise is ending today. There are a lot of issues that, as politicians, we have picked, and as leaders, we have picked. However, I just want to remind Kenyans that the Constitution of Kenya mandates IEBC to conduct continuous voter registration. And therefore, it is a continuous process. And remember, Serfine, every Kenyan in this country, every citizen has a right to be registered as a voter without unreasonable restriction. And putting that deadline to today might appear unreasonable. And I'm sure you're aware there's a court order that has extended it to 9th, pending the hearing and determination of that matter. I see a situation where this process will continue. We wrote to IEBC chairman, and we had a discussion with him on Friday, asking for an extension of the same.
By we, you mean?
By we mean a group of young leaders in this country that have struggled for long and believe that this exercise, if it ended today, then it should have, or it would have denied majority of the strugglers who are part of the 6 million an opportunity to register as voters. But I just, before I give my colleague an opportunity to also talk, I just want to give you 3 reasons why, in my view, I think the new voters are not registering, particularly the young people. Number one,
I don't know why I have a feeling before we get to that, let's just get a general feel about what we are reading from this gap. You know, IEBC had an ambitious target of 4.5 million new registered voters. Yes. Just your sentiments also on, you know, why they don't seem to be meeting this target, even as at the closure of this particular exercise today. Of course, the court has pronounced itself on, you know, the petition that was filed to extend it. But, you know, what do you think about what's happening?
I think that the process is a bit traditional in terms of registering new voters. I believe that we are dealing with a new generation. People who are born in early 2000 will be voting for the first time. And this is the Generation Z of our country, or our current 21st century. And I think that we cannot be using the traditional way of registering voters and expect that these young people will be motivated to come out and be registered as voters. We must keep the process as appealing as possible. Because if you tell a young person, this Generation Z people, that you are going to line up a long queue to go and register, I don't think they will find the motivation. They have other economic needs, especially when you have a country that is whose economy is reading negatives. They have more issues at hand to deal with other than just going and lining up. Until you motivate them to go and register as voters, that's when you are going to have them turn into numbers to register. So I think the IBC should make the process as simple as possible, technological-wise, technological savvy in terms of the whole process of registering of voters, so that we can have as many young people turning to register as voters. I'm looking at 2022 as a moment of change in terms of generational change of leadership, even how we have set our social system in our country. But these establishments, economic-wise, political and social, are not going to be changed if we are not providing a conducive environment, a conducive ecosystem for these young people to participate in that change. In
that electoral process.
Yes.
All right, you've cited technology. I don't know whether technology is the big issue here. You wanted to tell us, you know, 3 reasons why we have not achieved what we ought to have achieved as a country. Tell us a little bit about what you're reading from this.
I think my colleague, I'm not sure what he's trying to say when he says that IBC should not approach it traditionally, because if there's any institution that has invested today in technology and innovation in terms of capturing voter details, is IBC, and I'm sure he knows that. But I just wanted to say that the reason why there's voter registration apathy is because, number one, majority of young people who you see filling these rallies, they don't have voters card. I mean, they don't have identification card. They don't have IDs. The requirement for you to register as a voter, you must have a national ID card or a passport. These young people, majority of them don't have. You know why they don't have? Because of historical criminal records. Some of them fear giving their fingerprints because they have historical backgrounds. Number 2, there is the politics of the day, where the modern, or rather the current politicians, have preferred candidates. The young politicians, young leaders who want to venture into politics for change that he's talking about, they are not able to mobilize their colleagues to go and register because they believe that already those positions or those certificates have been designated to some individuals. So they have no incentive. Number 3, we have seen situations where IBC has asked for money, and they've said, for this process to continue to its completion, then we need a certain amount of money to carry it. What they were allocated, they have been complaining. They're saying they don't have money. It is not the job of IEBC to, you know, use their money, or rather to get money from us to go and do this job. The Parliament of Kenya must allocate funds through Treasury so that IBC can conduct this. That's another hurdle. The other hurdle has been the issue of kits, the voter registration kit. There are people in this country, some of them are schooling, the students, but they would want to vote in Nairobi. They're schooling in Dorit, they're schooling in Ouma Bay. But the kit limits them in terms of registration in that area. So they're wondering, if I register in this area and I'll be in Nairobi in 2022 to vote, how will I come back and vote? Then lastly is the economic meltdown that he has talked about. You earn 300 shillings per day as a boda or as a whoever, and you are looking at the distance you want to cover to go and register. And you debate, do I put food on the table today? Or do I use this as a transport means to go and secure myself for a voter registration? And lastly, politicians have not, majority of politicians have not tried as much as they could to ensure that they mobilize young people who are majority of the population and are going to be majority of voters next year to register. Politicians are selling their agenda, but they have forgotten that the main agenda is to first have members of the public register. I have seen majority of politicians speaking about this, and I'm glad politicians like Gideon Moi came out on Sunday when he was in Githurai and appealed to the masses. Gideon Moi told people, we need now to differentiate between Kura and Kula, because majority of politicians are Kulaing, but they are not mobilizing, you know, the public to get the Kura, which will enable you to change. The leadership that he's talking about can only change if you have a voter. It doesn't matter which way you vote, but the first thing first, get the voters registered, get yourself registered as a voter, then you can effect that change appropriately.
Yeah, and that's a given. And I would just like to take you back on something you said concerning, you know, young voters not being, you know, finding it hard to travel to different locations.
There's no incentive.
This time around, if I remember correctly, IEBC gave a provision that you do not necessarily have to travel. If you're registering as a new voter, you do not necessarily have to travel to a different location to go and register. You can actually do that where you are, and then the system, they have a way in which the system can be able to
They did say that, Serfine, but they have got very limited number of mobile kits that can register you anywhere. Very limited.
All right.
That's
the majority they are targeting, the majority they are targeting are 6 million. 90% of the 6 million are young voters. And when we talk about technology, we have the technology. We have restricted the technology. It's not that we don't have technology, because it is there. That's why I disagree with him when he say they need to do things differently. They have it. This is goodwill. And I want to see a situation where they even visit homesteads. They make it their issue. Walk into homesteads and do this voter registration at the doorstep. Go to the villages. Majority of the young people today are in the rural areas. They are in the wards. Take these kids to the wards for those who want to register. Let them register. Remember, this is a right for every Kenyan. So we must do it as a right first.
Right. And just before you come in, I mean, what happened to the spirit of patriotism? You know, this you've cited the word mobilization from the politicians, from IEBC. I'm looking at the voter himself or herself. What happened to that inner drive, that has to want to be part of this electoral process, such that it has to take the effort of IEBC or a politician to push you, if I may use that term, to push you to go and register as a voter, to exercise actually what is your civic, you know, right as a Kenyan? What happened? Why do we have that sense of hopelessness among us as Kenyans? Okay,
Serfine, I think the reason as to why people are not motivated to participate in these political processes is because over time we have seen that Kenyans come out in numbers to vote for their leaders, but post the election we find people eroding our democracy through handshakes and all manner of political conmanship. So that's why you'll find people are not motivated to participate in this politics. And I would tell you, the reason as to why you're finding even young people are not fully motivated to register for this voter exercise is because of one thing. There is already political undertones and sentiments on our media. Every political rally that we go, that the candidate is, we know who will be the next president. We know who the system is favoring. So people are seeing that the system, the establishment has already rigged the elections, so they don't have to go and approve and confirm the rigging in terms of participating in the electoral process. But be that as it is may, I want to say that as much as you are disagreeing that technology is not an issue in this registration process, Serfine, my brother has just confirmed that IBC should take the process to the door-to-door campaigns. And I would say this, IBC, if it is really targeting the youth, let youths register them from the comfort of their house with a mobile phone, without necessarily me going to the IBC booth to register as a voter. Let them make it as simple, as accessible as possible through the phones. And I think our youths are technology savvy in terms of doing these processes. So technology is an issue, we can't ignore that. We must make the process as accessible and as simple as possible. In terms of erosion of democracy and people not being motivated to turn up in terms of political direction that the country is going to take, the erosion of our democracy is a critical factor as to why people are not motivated to participate.
The population that is being targeted here is what you called Generation Z. I didn't even know we got there. You know, I was still thinking we're in Generation, you know, X.
Yes.
But suddenly we're in Generation Z. But why is this population crucial? And a lot of those who've come out to say that they are going to be vying in the 2022 polls have this youth agenda as the core of their what they are selling in terms of what they will offer this nation.
Yes.
Why the sudden appetite for the youth in this country? Why are they crucial in this electoral process?
Let's start from where I left, Serfine. You see, it is very wrong to try and even to attempt to imagine that the reason why young people are not registering is because of handshake and handshake. I think those are emotional sentiments, and in my view, they are neither here nor there. Kenyans are bright, and they know exactly who they would want to elect. They will do that in a secret ballot on 9th August 2022. So anyone who is still hanging on handshake and handshake, I think Kenyans move from there. Kenyans are visioning a country that shall be prospering come 2022 when they elect their leaders, right from the MCA to the presidency level. Now, back to your question. The reason why this voting bloc is critical is because this is the future. You know, the young people have been told for a very long time that they are leaders of tomorrow. Then they were told, no, you are no longer leader of tomorrow, you are leader of today. But the young people, including myself, have told them we're the leaders of today. And that's why participation, political participation of the young people as provided for in the Constitution of 2010 is critical. Now, I just wanted to refer you to the census 2019. If you look at it, forget about even the registered voters alone. The number of young people who are part of the 47 million are massive, 75%. Now, as somebody who is a leader in a political party, I also tell you, if you look at the party registration membership in terms of registration, majority of them are young people. What young people are asking for, give us an opportunity to serve this country in political processes. That is why the politicians are going to them, telling them, look, other than just being, because I've seen one of the leaders in this country who is using young people as voting robots, mobilization robots, is using them as, mobilization tools for mass destruction. The other day in Israel, he did tell them that, I know you are here, majority of you, because you are jobless. But he's not telling them how he's going to help them to get jobs. This is something that we must talk about openly today. And this is what we are saying as young people. It's not enough for the political leaders to use the young people to fill their rallies and give them 200 shillings and tell them, tomorrow when you go back home, I'll bring you wheelbarrow, I'll bring him mkokoteni. That's not what young people want. The young people want to be involved in the political process, right from the party leadership all the way to elective and appointive positions. That can only happen if they're given opportunity. They have lacked opportunity. I'm glad today a few political leaders are giving young people opportunity, but majority of them are still using them as mobilization tools to decorate their rallies in a yellow fever kind of semantics. That must end. Lastly, Serfine, you know, it is interesting that you ask this question, that why is it this voting bloc now critical? Let me ask you, when you look at every politician speak, they mention the word youth or young people 8 times. at least 8 times. Why? Because they recognize that these are the people going to make them leaders. But how come the young people have not decided to field one of their own as the president? They have not decided to field one of their own as MCA, woman rep, senator, governor. Why? Because of this class. I was about to tell
you, you can answer that because you're part and parcel.
Exactly. So this is what I'm answering. The reason why that is happening is because there is a clique of politicians in this country that have decided that this election will be determined by the people that they mobilize, not to help, but to put them in position. This group of politicians, you have seen them crisscrossing this country, using choppers, using whatever they use, and then they call themselves the lowly placed, but they are highly placed, who are taking advantage of the struggle of the young people to make ends meet for themselves. That must stop.
Let's also hear from Maina. Yes. I mean, Fred is saying the youth of this country want to be part and parcel of the leadership.
Yes.
Not be, you know, like the kingmakers, and then at the end of the day, they're not part of that leadership.
Yes.
What do you think the youth of this country need from where you sit? We all agree that the youth agenda is an important agenda in these coming, you know, polls.
Yes.
But how do we address it? What do they really need?
I think the youth of our country need a responsive government. They need a genuine leader, a person who have a track record, a proven one, somebody who has walked the journey in terms of helping the youth get into their economic aspiration. And I think I've seen Dr. William Ruto on this journey. He has actually empowered various youth groups, self-help groups, and actually even youths in the education sector. When he was the Minister of Higher Education, he reduced the entry period from 2 years to 6 months. I think that is somebody who has the goodwill of the youth. When he was the Minister of Agriculture, he provided the necessary subsidy, government subsidy, for people to easily engage in the agricultural activities. And I think when we have this conducive environment, you find young people participating in the whole process. So I think the youth of our country, what they are looking at in 2022, they want a responsible leader. They want somebody who has a track record. They want somebody who is inspiring. Because leadership is about, even Napoleon Bonaparte said, a leader is a dealer in hope. So they are looking at 2022 from that angle of inspiration, a responsive government that can be held accountable, somebody who has a track record, and they are looking for somebody who has a true economic model that he is presenting to us. Looking at it,
critics of that model,
yes,
have questioned, you know, how it is being packaged.
Yes.
In the sense that yes, the youth of this country need jobs.
Yes.
They need, you know, to be elevated economically.
Yes.
But they need decent jobs. They need, you know, I mean, what did you say about how that messaging has been packaged? Has it been misunderstood from where you sit? Just explain to us.
You see, the bottom-up economic model is not merely the wheelbarrow that you see. It is not as that simple. The bottom-up economic model has been tried elsewhere in this world. We have seen it today happening in the United States. The current president is employing it. And William Ruto, or the UDA party, is promoting this economic philosophy because we need to move from the conventional way of operating as a country. For the 50 years that we have been, since our independence, this country has been operating on the trickle-down economic model, and it has not served anyone. It has only served the interest of the minority privileged. So we, as a party and as a political formation, we are saying that it is time we changed how we do our economics. We need to go to the grassroots. We need to go to the base. We need to invest our priorities to the people at the grassroots. And let me tell you, if we get it right at the basics, at the base, even at the top level of our economic pyramid, we are going to get it correct. For the longest time, we have been giving tax incentives, we have been giving good, enabling access to markets, international markets, to these big corporations. But now, as a party, we are saying that the bottom-up economic model needs to invest in the enterprises, the small and medium enterprises that are at the grassroots. And if you look at these SMEs, majority of them are owned by young people. So the bottom-up economic model shifts from what you would call the mainstream economy, that you would call it, or the formal economy to the informal economy, so that we can formalize what we have, what is outside the tax bracket, and we formalize this particular economy, and then it is mainstreamed, and now the government can now start engaging these SMEs in terms of even collection of revenues, in terms of even providing incentives and seed capital.
You've had your say. I don't know, Fred, what do you think about, and the other day, by the way, before we even get deeper into this, you also were part of the launch of a movement that you're currently really driving in this country, the strugglers movement.
Absolutely.
There is the hustler movement.
Yes.
So which is which? I mean,
I don't know. I've never heard about it.
You can't say you live in this
strugglers are a copy-paste of the Hustler Nation.
You can't say you've not heard of the hustler.
They are just McTiming to join Hustler Nation.
Let him have his say. You've explained what the bottom-up economic model is, and I have a lot of questions for you later,
please.
but also let us hear from...
Listen to my brother struggle through. Explain what is bottom-up.
I'm not a struggler. I'm a hustler.
And... you know,
what's the difference?
Serfine, this country, during independence, we struggled for independence. We didn't hustle for independence. And let me give you operation definition. A struggler is an individual who puts in genuine effort and is determined to end the difficulties that he's experiencing for a better future, today and tomorrow.
Which dictionary?
Which dictionary? According to which dictionary?
What they are. What they are.
Because the other day, hustler was so defined. Where have we been all these days?
Let's go.
How
what they are.
Hustlers changed.
And you can check now. This is what they are. And listen to me keenly. These are people who circumvent the struggle and difficulties through shortcuts to enrich themselves. This country, and I repeat, we never, at any given time, hustled for independence. We struggled for independence. And these are the struggles that we are undergoing as a country. We are undergoing political struggle. Under political struggle, political instability, political inclusion, we are undergoing economic struggle. Under economic struggle, economic recovery that has been occasioned by theft of public money, and you know who are the thieves of this country, you know where they have been cited.
No,
we are undergoing, you are a journalist, you have covered this. We are undergoing social struggles, and we are even undergoing environmental struggle. Today, the world leaders are gathering in Scotland. That's the struggle we are undergoing. But the struggle must end. We cannot say we are hustling, and then you give people hustling tools. You are enhancing the hustle. We must end the struggle. And that's why we are saying, today, the best economic model that has been tested and can only be strengthened is devolution. I have listened to the leaders. One of them is Gideon Moi. Gideon Moi has said that we must strengthen devolution. He has said we must involve the young people in leadership. Those are the struggles that people have been struggling with. Now, if you listen to our friends who have been struggling to explain to us the economic model that they paint in golden colors, while it is, in pure sense, it is silver. This is what they don't know. When you want to strengthen devolution and target the people that are at the bottom, number one, you must have a framework towards achieving that. They're not telling us what is their framework. We are telling them that today, the devolution beyond county headquarters is the surest way of reaching the majority of 75 of Kenyans who are down there by apportioning a certain percentage, 1.5, 2.5, as envisioned in the Constitution, of that money that will encounter or will be used to accelerate development. Because we are now adopting the word as the primary unit of accelerated development. Where are the people of Kenya? The people of Kenya are in the villages and the wards. But when you tell Kenyans, I'm going to create 4 million jobs and I'm going to put 40 billion or 100 billion in your pocket, Kenyans don't just need money in their pockets. They need an environment where they can have their own money. Tokenism is not going to work. Lastly, Serfine, we also know that our brothers, the other side, who we are competing today, they don't understand how economic models work. They use it as a sloganeering. We tell them that today, there's nothing at the bottom, because what is at the bottom has been stolen. You cannot say bottom's up and bottom is bare. you must put something at the bottom. How do you put something at the bottom? This country collects over 1.5 trillion. Apportion a percentage of the national collection as envisioned in the Constitution of Kenya 2010 so that you achieve the objects and principle of devolution. That says the communities must have, or the county government must have a way of governing themselves and developing themselves. You cannot be developed by an individual. Who are you who has these billions that you can put billions in people's pockets, 47 million of them?
Okay.
You are not...
He seems to be having a response to the questions you are asking. So,
Serfine,
yeah.
My brothers on the other side are struggling to identify with the bottom-up economic model. The bottom-up economic model, in bottom-up economic model, the biggest resource is the human capital, the human resource. And we are looking at the people, not from the point of, we are looking at this, the success of this economic model, not in terms of capital. We are looking at it from the human resource perspective. So we are, and these resources that we are going to take on the grassroots, William Ruto has talked about investing 100 billion in terms of empowering the small and medium enterprises. These small and medium enterprises will not be going to individual pockets. It will be going to the enterprises. If I have an enterprise and my brother doesn't have, he will not get it, but I will get it. And vice versa is true. If he has an enterprise and I don't have an enterprise, you will find the Hustler government is going to empower him, or the 100 billion per constituency is going to empower him, rather than coming to me, because he has a legal entity that he can secure these resources from with it. So
for one,
let me tell you this.
Somebody who's listening to both of you, seems, you know, aren't we saying the same thing?
No,
we are not saying the same thing.
We are not.
Theirs is trickle down. It serves only the minority.
No, the objective, what's the ultimate objective?
Let me tell you,
at the end of the day, isn't it about empowering that vulnerable Kenyans?
Yes, but
not only vulnerable, not only vulnerable,
let me tell you,
Kenyans.
For them, it is holding resources at the top.
One person at a time.
So that I respond.
Okay.
Yes.
Our friends here are painting a donkey to be a horse. It can never be. The only sure way of achieving, Kenyans don't just need development. They need accelerated development. It must be faster. It must be achieved through the confines of the Constitution. They have not told Kenyans how they are going to collect 100 million. They have not told Kenyans who are they going to tax. They're telling us that we need more wheelbarrows so that you can work at Mjengo for the rest of your life. They're telling us you need more stalls so that you can sit in the sun and sell mboga all day. We need to go to the level of grocery. We need to go to the level...
No.
Just alone.
No.
Just alone. You had the time. So what we are saying, the pillar of development in this country has been marked as devolution. And devolution does not mean top down or trickle down. If he has gone through the Constitution of Kenya 2010, he should be aware of the principle of devolution. One of them is that the county government also, at the bottom there, should have enough resources, generate their own revenue. How do you do that? First of all, you must put structures in place so that even the people, they're talking about SMEs. Not all the people have SMEs. The majority that have SMEs, they have been collapsed because of theft. We are saying, today, the surest way of reaching every struggler in this country, and struggler I have defined, these are people who put in genuine effort, not the Gamwaya, Ngaweka, these legit guys of politics like they are.
I didn't even see you go there.
No, I mean, really, it is true. What we are saying, Serfine, is very simple. And majority of Kenyans agree.
Let's be real. In Kenya, you know what a struggler means and what a hustler has always been.
Let me tell you.
Until we had this new definition.
No. When you go through operational definition, open your Oxford English Dictionary, you will not even try and show you are 2-year-old kid about that.
I understand what you're saying.
But when when you go through this, let me just finish. When you go through this, you'll realize we, as people who believe in strengthening devolution, we believe that majority of the people in this country are people struggling economically, politically, socially, environmentally. Those are themes that must be fixed, not now, not tomorrow, but immediately. So for you to fix that, You don't need to promise billions.
All right.
What you need to do, you need to seal theft avenues and then collect that money, then use the channels that are avoided to take it to the people.
You had your say.
Thanks.
He said something about what he thinks your team is communicating to the public. I want you to clarify more about what is in it for Kenya from what you're selling as the bottom-up economy.
The bottom-up economic model is a wealth creation approach. And it is not about enhancing the struggles people are going through. It's all about inspiring people and providing a framework, a growth framework to achieve their economic aspiration. We are telling them that if today you have a chair, you're sitting on a chair, that one chair, it doesn't stop you from sitting on a large chair like the one you are sitting here. And that is going to, and the bottom-up economic model is providing a framework, a regularized framework that is going to empower you so that you can achieve that economic aspiration of moving from one level of commercial activity to another level, an improved one. And it doesn't mean enhancing a struggle. The bottom-up economic model is about people getting to a level above the ones they're having today. And this is going to happen through government goodwill, provision of necessary capital, seed capital and resources, capacity building activities that is going to be facilitated by the government, of the Hustler government. So we shouldn't be misconstrued by our opponents and friends from the other side to mean that we just mean provision of wheelbarrows. The wheelbarrow is just a symbol of our revolution, the economic revolution. During the Bolsheviks revolution, they had the hammer and sickle as their symbol of revolution. Ours is the wheelbarrow. So they shouldn't misconstrue it that we are providing a certain technology to the people so that we can enhance a certain economic activity. Ours is just a symbol of revolution. The bottom-up
it's not about wheelbarrow.
It is not about wheelbarrow. The wheelbarrow is just because it's just a simple tool.
The concern has been that, you know, let's elevate the young people to a level where they won't hustle, you know, they won't be in that, they won't accept the circumstances, you know, because for somebody to embark on certain jobs in this particular country, you'd have to agree with me that circumstances push young people to do anything, to make ends meet. To tell that young person that I'm going to put in money for you to continue doing this in a more successful way. I mean,
no.
It's about that when
no, it's about business. It's about business.
Let me
it's about decent jobs. It's about healthcare. The bottom-up model
Look at the confusion.
It covers a lot of areas.
I still want you, gentlemen, to explain to me the difference between strugglers and hustlers. But that will come later. Let's listen into more about these political promises that are coming up. Of course, we've heard from you know, the gentleman I have on set this morning, but also the OKA team was in the Western region, and this is what they had to say with regards to what they are promising Kenyans. Remember, we've really been waiting for them to put their house in order, to come up with a presidential candidate, to tell Kenyans what they have to offer, and this is what they had to say. Let's listen into some of their political sentiments.
Ukitaka kama jamii tuungane na Wakenya wengine ndio tupate kile tunapataka.
Mekucha. Siasa za udanganyifu Kenya zimeisha, kwamba sisi ni timu moja ambayo haiwezi kubanduka.
Tafadhali ninawasihi ujue hivi, shida zenu zote, shida ya wakulima kuhusu shukari, dawa ni wapi?
Yani tunakaribia uchaguzi. Wewe na mimi ndio tutaunda serikali. Watu wamekuwa na tabia ya kujaribu kushurutisha ati huyu ndio tunamlazimisha mchukue.
All right, so that is what the One Kenya Alliance has to offer Kenyans. I mean, beautiful promises coming from different political players. If all these political players could just sit together and agree on one thing they want to offer the nation, I mean, we would have a beautiful country and all our problems could be solved. But I know I'm dreaming too big on this one.
No, you're not. You're not.
No, politics is a competitive process.
You know, Serfine, politics is a competition of ideas. And the best idea carries the day, and from that vote, they formed the government. I have listened to the gentleman, Gideon Moi and his friends. And if you check keenly on that day, I would say the Western leaders were hosting Gideon Moi in Kakamega. You know, it's interesting that how politicians speak these things, they more or less speak the same thing. They want to uplift the people, they want to change their lives. But there are people in this country, there are leaders in this country
is the narrative not
who
the same?
have fought
it is not the same.
unity. I agree with him when he says it's not the same, because from his argument, they have fought unity, they have fought inclusion, they have fought the fight against corruption, they have fought the fight of increasing resources to the lowly placed over billions that were going to the people. They fought it. They fought the division revenue bill. They are now fighting even their own government. These are people who are in a government. It's like you are fighting the people in your own house. Now, to go back to what you said, I think it is time to do things differently. We must do things differently. And by differently, I mean we must look at the real challenges and be innovative and creative. I am very happy that there are leaders in this country today, like Gideon Moi, who have come up and saying, let's do different. And look, he is a visitor in Western Kenya, and he said, your problems are the industries that give or create opportunities for your people here. We must fix that. The other gentleman, when he went to Western Kenya, you know what he told them? He told them that you keep following me when you want money and you don't want to give me votes. That is not a leader who is offering the solution. A leader must identify what are the problems of that region he is visiting, then what are the tangible solutions. They have said, the OKA team and led by Gideon Moi, they have said, in this region, we must revive their economic livelihood by ensuring that all those industries that have been collapsed through corruption are up.
But haven't we heard this before?
We have heard before.
Haven't we heard this gospel before?
Gideon Moi has been consistent, and he has said, as I finish, he has said, Gideon Moi says the biggest problem in this country is corruption. And I have watched all his journey. He has said that for us to finish, even these economic models that people are now painting, these donkeys that are painting horses, if it is to work, then we must first finish corruption. And we must be radical about fighting theft of public money. Even if it means jailing them for life or hanging them by neck till they die, then that must happen. Because when you steal money meant for mumias, money meant for, all those other projects, road, hospital, transport, you are actually killing. So you are a killer, you are a murderer who must die. And you see the same thieves positioning themselves in church, positioning themselves before a crowd and saying, we are going to build this, and they're not telling us how are they going to fight corruption. Right. That is the biggest elephant in the room.
Yes. Serfine, I don't want to digress to subjective argument, but I must say that William Ruto has actually approached the Western Bloc. He actually held a Western Regional Economic Forum sometimes back in September. And whatever the Western leaders and Western professionals and supporters presented to him is going to inform the larger manifesto of William Ruto later on, either late this year or early next year. So we have engaged them on that objective level. We have engaged them on a regional economic forum without any politics. I actually attended that meeting by virtue of being a youth leader in the country. And I liked the debate. I liked how the Western delegation presented their case in terms of industries, in terms of development to William Ruto. And actually he gave a commitment of how he is going to work with the Western region. But I want to say this.
If he is elected president?
If he is elected the next president, which is a matter of confirmation in August. But let me say this.
I have a question for both.
Let me say this. Let me say this. That William Ruto is presenting the bottom-up economic model to the people, while his competitors are jostling for endorsement from cartels, presents him, gives him a higher competitive advantage as we head to 2022. William Ruto is engaging people on the basis of an economic model. The other people, which Okango is a spokesman of OKA and Raila Odinga, they are going for positions, endorsements, attending meetings in hotels, and this is not going to be the case. People are demanding higher from their leaders in 2022, and that's why you find people are attending rallies. If you cheat, if you lie to people, the following day they are going to call a presser to call you out, because people are demanding high of their leaders as we head to 2022.
But if you're telling me about new faces we've not seen before, if you're telling me about people who've not had an opportunity to serve in government,
yes,
I would actually feel like this would be a breath of fresh air. But you're talking about Musalia Mudavadi, you're talking about Kalonzo Musyoka, you're talking about William Ruto, who has served as a deputy president in this country. What is giving Kenyans the assurance that, you know, this is going to be a promise that is going to be fulfilled? Because these gentlemen have served in powerful positions in this country, and the agenda they are selling right now, they had every opportunity to implement it and to have Kenyans benefit from it. So,
let me tell you, Serfine, as I respond to what he said, I agree with you. Kenya needs a breath of fresh air. And that's why I keep saying, if there's one individual that must exit as President Kenyatta goes to retire, is William Ruto. He has served in this government with President Kenyatta. The successes of President Kenyatta are his successes. The challenges of President Kenyatta are his challenges, because they were elected on one ticket as per the provision of law. He cannot say that him now he can do more than his boss who they have worked with. If anything, he is the principal assistant of the president. Of course, he has abandoned his duty and he has other ambitions. Now he's trying to you know, do the multiple effect of yellow fever in this country that is unnecessary. Number two, I must tell you that for me, I look at leaders with equal opportunity. Unfortunately for him, he says that William Ruto is going to be the president. He says that. I wish them well. But for me, I'm looking at all these leaders who have come up, who has the country at heart. Because William Ruto, whom he is speaking for today on a national broadcaster, has said before that the leadership of this country is Matapeli. The other ones are being endorsed by Atapeli. You know, and that is somebody.
Let's be careful not to advance.
I mean, I'm not advancing anything.
Any political rhetoric.
No, I'm not advancing, but these are things that remain objective. And I want to be objective as objective as possible.
Yes, and
in my objectivity, I'm saying that these are facts that have been reported by the media, you and the rest. And they have said that, and they said it in broad daylight. What I'm saying is, this country needs unity more than anything else. This country needs inclusion more than anything else, at a time when we're going for a transition election. And when you say that a leader has the best interest at heart, what are you looking for? First of all, you look at how he speaks, his conduct, his track record. I'm glad you're bringing in a new topic. You're saying, where is the freshness?
Exactly, because even Raila Odinga has served in very senior positions in this country.
I don't speak for OKA, but I speak for leaders. I even speak
he is the spokesman of OKA.
You see,
not categorically say that.
The issue is
because the names you guys have mentioned.
The issue here is who is best suited to be the next leader with a team that will secure strugglers, him, me, and others, so that we have a better Kenya. The shortcut that they are insisting on, that shortcut will not help us. But we must look at a leader who has the interest of the young people. And when I say young here, I don't mean the youth, because the youth is an abused word. The young at heart, the young in age, the young in whatever they do, and have got the ideas to change. Number two, devolution. This is the new system. You know, when you devolve resources to the doorsteps, so that the person that is lowly placed has an opportunity to enjoy the government services as the provision of Article 6, that is when you can say you are reaching them. Our people, as I finish, our colleagues, our competitors, our abusers, if I may use that word, they abuse everything, have decided that for them, they're going to create class wars.
All right.
This class war is not going to work. What is going to work is when every leader means what he says and says what he means. The first thing, we must fight corruption. I have never heard some of these leaders talk about corruption. I don't know because by design or by default, but in my imagination, I think they're avoiding it.
Fred, you've had your say. You've had your say. Yeah, kindly just respond to what he has said.
Do you mean when you look at OKA in your objective analysis, is it...
And I'm not an analyst.
Yes. Is it the OKA guys who are going to bring the change that we want in this country? Is it the OKA guys who are going to fight corruption? Is it Raila Odinga who is going to fight corruption? Let's be objective. 2022, we have shifted the debate from constitutional change, something that my friend Okango was supporting. And we have shifted the debate from the constitutional change to economic emancipation of the people. And that's where the bottom-up economic model came. My friend Serfine, as we head to 2022, we are seeking to build a responsive, accountable government. A government that can be held into account by the people. A government that is going to put people as the biggest resource in its policies. That is going to put people, putting the public participation as a key element in terms of policy making and in terms of decision making in our country. That is something that we have not seen in our country for the longest time. We have been finding people proposing development initiatives from government to the people. For the bottom-up economic model, it is we going to the people and asking them, what do you want? And that's why you find the regional economic models that the UDA party has been trying to hold across the country. It is a people-driven economic model. It is a people-driven, it will be a people-driven government, whereby people are going to be the center of the decision-making process, of the implementation phase, and also execution and its success. We want to have wealth creation being done from the village level. Actually, the key tenet of a bottom-up economic model is creating village cottages, village industries at the grassroots. We don't want these big corporations. We provide incentives. We provide.
Is there anything
markets.
wrong with?
There's no problem. But you hold resources at the top with the thinking that now that we have resources at the top, we can be dropping bit by bit to the people, and thinking that they are going to put a meal on the table.
All right.
No, the bottom-up economic model is coming to you, Safi, whereby we provide necessary empowerment to you so that you can put food on the table for yourself. And when you are able to provide surplus food for yourself, you can actually even sell to other people, and you can easily generate income in your household.
All right. If you put us in the global map, as our population is competing with others in developed countries, yes. Where are we? If our focus is to put food on the table, where are we? What else do we have to offer the globe in this bottom-up arrangement? And are we having that ultimate vision of getting to that, the corporate, the formal, market with this bottom-up economic model? Or we've settled for what we have and our hustling and our current status?
Safi,
just explain so that
Safi, there is no success. Safi, there is no success in the global market if there is human insecurity in your country. Security in the international level begins with the security of member states, and the security of member states begins with the human security at their local at the local level. So, if you want to be competitive at the global level, we must first of all ensure there is food security in your country. You must ensure that people in your country are happy. Actually, you hear that in America, their greatest dream is about pursuit of liberty and happiness. We must make sure that people are comfortable at the local level. We can't be competing globally, and we have political instability in our country. What is the essence of competing globally?
Okay, we are really struggling to explain the hustler and the struggler and the difference. Okay, so struggle is real. In the interest of fairness, yes. I mean, it would be really, I mean, take it away.
It speaks for itself. I really don't need to put more effort, you know, to explain, but just genuine effort. And the genuine effort is Kenya is a struggling nation. And that is why we need champion that will end the struggle. By the way, Serfine, the ultimate goal of this movement is to end the struggle. How do you end the struggle? You must apply yourself to the provisions that are available that will ensure that the struggle is ended. Not through shortcuts. We have struggled for independence. We have struggled for multi-party democracy. Now we are struggling for economic recovery.
Will it ever stop? Will it ever stop?
With the right leadership,
and the choice of words, hustler, struggler, the negative connotation that some people say is attached to these words.
As a student of system thinking and practice, they say that there's nothing negative that cannot be pursued to be positive. Mm-hmm. The connotation that people have is because of anger, is because of the frustrations of life. I've talked about political struggle, economic struggle, social struggle, environmental struggle. And you know what? All these things cannot end if we don't do with one thing. Mm-hmm. We must have an opportunity to eradicate theft of public money, mm-hmm. AKA corruption. Just hold on, you know, it's good to be patient. We have seen in this country, Serfine, a certain clique of leadership or a certain formation of politics. They have never in their lives talked about how they're going to end corruption. I've heard Gideon Moi talk about corruption. I've heard Raila Odinga talk about corruption. I've heard Musalia Mudavadi in his economic model of what they call Uchumi Bora talk about corruption. I've heard Kalonzo Musyoka in ensuring that we have 24-hour economy talk about corruption. But I've never heard their competitor talking about ending theft of public money. What I've heard them do, weaponizing the fight against corruption. Now, as I finish, Serfine, I want the people watching this show today to know that the only appropriate thing to do is to give yourself hope that one day the struggle will end. Don't enhance the struggle. People in this country have come from very far. This country has come from a situation where you could not even say a thing, because if you say it, you'll be a target. Today, we are speaking openly and loudly about ending some of these struggles. And we are saying we must first end the first struggle, the struggle of theft of public money. That has denied majority of Kenyans opportunity. If that ends, then we shall fix this. And the next thing we must do, we must now go and protect the money and enhance, strengthen,
you've made your point, Fred.
That is it.
Nani Serfine, you know the challenge with and the tragedy that we are facing is that we are having strugglers struggling to join Hustler Nation. And let me tell you, the truth of the matter is that we can't have elites claiming to talk on behalf of the hustlers in this country. That is the tragedy we are facing in the country. And that's what you have just heard here. But let me say that the Hustler Nation is about hard work, resilience, and putting effort in whatever you are doing, a legitimate effort, so that you can acquire a legitimate success. And let me tell you, the Hustler Nation has actually earned legitimacy in this country, in terms of when the country was being driven to constitutional change, clamor for constitutional change, the Hustler Nation stood on its ground and said, no, this is the time to serve this country. The Hustler Nation, when there was the clamor for change, people said no, clamor for constitutional change. The Hustler Nation said no. This is time, our 2010 constitution has not been effectively implemented. The Hustler Nation, when people are saying during the division of revenue that we adopt the win-lose formation, the Hustler Nation said no. Let us look for win-win formula in terms of devolution. And when my friend talks about devolution as being the only devolutionary system that we can adopt as a country, I don't find that as true, because devolution has actually been abused. We have seen it being abused by the powers that be when they have been trying to perpetuate a win-lose formula in our country. And the bottom-up economic model is trying to create a legitimate government policy, whereby that devolution is going actually to be given the goodwill to operate in the grassroots through this macro-level government policy that is called the bottom-up economic model. So,
has it worked?
No, that's what we are telling the people that we will be implementing. You know? It has worked across in other parts of the world. US, we are finding it, President Biden implementing it. It can also be replicated here in this country. And that's why we are saying that let us try this bottom-up economic model, because the last 56 years that our country has been operating on trickle-down economic model, it has only been advantageous to the minority rich rather than the majority.
As we're getting to the climax of this conversation, my question, and I will keep repeating this, couldn't there have been a better word that is more optimistic, that is, you know, shifting our mindset towards that positive ending that all these narratives are taking us towards? Why struggler? Why hustler? Why, you know, rubber stamp that weight, that challenge that Kenyans have been...
You know, there's a quote my friend said here, that a negative connotation...
It's not a quote, it's a system thinking principle.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There's something you said, that a negative connotation doesn't hinder a certain definition of something to be positive. And that's why we are saying the definition that he is trying to quote might be negative in terms of defining what a hustler is. But the hustler nation, the legitimate respect that it has earned in this country, has actually given positive attribute to what a hustler is. And that is hard work, determination, and focus to succeed.
Serfine, by their fruits you will know them. Let me not even go further. But what we are saying, the struggles should not be synonymous with poverty. Should never. But we know for sure that shortcut is not a way of life. Circumventing the effort is not a way of life. And that's why for us we believe that the only way of securing the majority, the lives of the majority of Kenyans, is number one, fight the vices that stop them from enjoying the opportunities, which is corruption. Number two, once you do that, now protect the resources. You know, when you say bottom, bottom means at the low, at the below. Not necessarily grassroots, at the below, down there. Now, what this means, bottom up, it means the development or the initiation of that you know, feel good, enjoying whatever you need to enjoy as per right, must start from down.
Yes.
But that means you must stake some resources down there. Now, our colleagues have eaten what is at the bottom. The bottom is bare. When you scratch it, it reads made in China. There's nothing. So what we are saying, we must now look at a formula of ensuring that the people at the grassroots, there at the villages, at the wards, are having an environment where they can create for themselves and we protect what they create. Number one, we must give a certain percentage of the national collection. They're not telling us. Number two, we must protect what they collect or what they create. They're not telling us. Number three, we must elect leaders that respect those structures down there. They are not telling us.
I don't know whether, just allow me, I don't know whether I got him correctly, but he sort of said something in relation to what you're addressing, that money is going to be injected to formal structures that are
From where? Money is injected from where?
From the treasury.
Where is the treasury? Treasury is at the bottom, right? I mean, let's be real.
Let me tell you, Nani.
Let's be real. Let me just finish.
No, Fred, allow him to explain so that we can explain what.
Listen,
where is this money going to come from? For the bottom to generate, to elevate the economy in this country?
When we formalize the bottom-up economic model, I told you, when we have the operational system of bottom-up economic model is that we are not going to criminalize enterprises. Like the way we have been finding today, if you want to do a business across the street here, you'll be arrested or your goods will be confiscated. The bottom-up economic model is going to formalize these enterprises, these commercial activities, so that we can enlarge the base. When you enlarge the base and when you formalize these commercial activities, then the government is going to easily
Are you aware that the SMEs are...
As we wind up, because I'm informed...
Collecting revenues, and this revenues is going... this revenue that we are going to collect from these formalized commercial activities is what is going to facilitate in terms of the development activities and also giving back the seed capital to this capital activities.
Your final word, Fred, unfortunately.
Serfine,
yeah.
It is evident that there's nothing called bottom-up. It is not there. It is a fallacy. It is a sloganeering method of woodwinking the majority of the frustrated young Kenyans into a yellow fever mood that is unnecessary. What Kenyans want today, they want the existing structures respected and strengthened. And we have said that the only way to do that, we must fight for a principle that is going to end their daily struggles. Political struggle, economic struggle, and environmental struggle, and social struggle. Number two, we should not enhance it, our colleagues are enhancing. Number two, we have leaders in this country who have demonstrated that they are ready to strengthen devolution. Gideon Moi, who is one of the newcomers, has demonstrated that he's going to strengthen devolution. He has demonstrated that he's going to include the young people. He has demonstrated that he must fight corruption if all these models are at work. I want to ask Kenyans, let us be in an atmosphere where we are not by sloganeering, but we are encouraged by the real deeds from the actions of politicians and leaders who have demonstrated to end the struggle.
Is he the presidential candidate for OKA?
Is he?
I don't know, but what I know is he's among the leaders.
He is the spokesman of OKA.
Mwangi, your final word.
Maina Karobia. Serfine, I want to appreciate you for inviting me to this show. I'm humbled. But I want to give a clarion call to my generation, the young people of our country. Affordable health care is on the ballot. Responsible government is on the ballot. Affordable housing is on the ballot. Please go to the nearest IEBC booth and register as a voter. We cannot be passive participants in a political process that is going to take place in 2022. We must be at the center of the change that is going to dispense in our country. And that change can only begin if we are going to be registered voters of our country. The bottom-up economic model cares for the youth interest post-2022. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Maina Karobia, political analyst. Also, I was having a sit-down with Fred Okango, political commentator. Thank you, gentlemen, for shedding light on what is shaping the road to the 2022 general election. Of course, we can always pick this up. We can never complete. So, looking forward to having another forum with you.